So I know it's been a really long time since I've done an update, and it's needless to say that I've been very busy as what you would call an essential employee. And being essential comes with some pretty nice benefits, as you're about to find out. Sit tight and I'll show you how to turn this into this. Sit tight, I'll walk you through the whole thing. Okay, so what do we got here? This is an Italian Moschetto Carcano 91-24 Carbine. This was actually used by the Italian Carbineri. I didn't get one of the Ethiopian models, which is great because I ordered that also. This one in particular came from Bud's Gun Shop. I jumped on it the day it went available. These are also available at Royal Tiger Imports and a couple other sellers as far as I'm aware. But as you can see, this is a complete rifle, including the cleaning rod, which one of my friends ordered and didn't get. It also comes with lots of grime and dirt and mung and funk and whatever. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the maintenance, as CN Arsenal's Mark Novak would say. We're going to start with stripping all the parts off of it, getting it down to the wood and the metal. Ultimately, my goal is to restore the wood. I'll seal it with tung oil, and I will re-rust blue all the metal. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to hit this with denatured alcohol over there and 4/0 steel wool over here. And we'll get all the mung off of it without stripping the finish, because these are not lacquered stocks. So, you know, I've told people in the past there is no value in grime. So we're not going to sand this at all. There are markings on this rifle. This was built in 1916, as indicated by the marking here, which is upside down. Sorry, I know it's not going to show up too well. This is a Terni rifle, and built to 1924 specification, or rebuilt to 1924 specification. This may be, it appears to be just a rebarreled. Also, this was in the service of somebody in 1948. So this cartouche is what we're going to preserve. We're not going to sand it down, we're not going to tear it apart. We're just going to give it a very light abrasion with that 4/0 steel wool. We'll get all this grime and mung off, and the next thing I guess is to strip down all the parts. So we're going to break it down to its bare parts, and we'll go from there. Unfortunately, due to the way YouTube's new rules are, I probably won't be able to show you the actual tear down. But when I come back, you'll have all this in pieces, and we'll get started on the stock. Oh, sorry for the twitchy camera work. I'm using a new type of gimbal too. Okay, so where I left you last was this was a complete gun. I have done the maintenance, as you can see. I've done the teardown, as you can see rather, and I have learned a few things about this rifle. Number one, I know what this marking means now. I know what that marking means now too, and they will be preserved. So, brief history of my particular rifle. This is a 91-24 Moschetto Truppe Speciale, Carcano. Originally built in 1916, chopped down, re-arsenaled 1924, obviously as the name denotes. It does keep the original roller coaster sight type deal. And the marking down here in the stock, or sorry, down here in the stock, is the Arsenal refurbishment from the original Terni factory in 1948. So this rifle served in 2 wars. 2 wars. And then this marking here is for the Italian Carbineri use. So this is a pretty cool rifle. It served in 2 wars, and it was also used by the Italian police, and then it was surplused out. So as you can tell, the stock is pretty grungy. I hate touching it because it just feels weird. And it's dirty, 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 dirty. There's a little bunch of nicks and pops, whatever. They're not too bad, they're not too deep. The handguard's in one piece, it's not cracked, it's in good shape. So what I'm going to do, like, there's no missing pieces anywhere. The whole thing came apart pretty well. And if I were to give you any advice, that is, use penetrating oil, use hollow ground screwdriver bits that are the correct size, that fit the screw heads, so you don't blow them out and ruin them. I know you don't see the barrel here because I have it put away in a box right now, but I've got the barrel too, and this is all the other small parts. So the next step is going to involve denatured alcohol and 4/0 steel wool. Now, there are people out there who are blindly saying that if you use this, you're going to ruin the finish. This is not a lacquered stock. This uses alcohol, or sorry, spirit-based stain. So all I'm doing is I'm using that and scouring it very lightly with 4/0 steel wool to take the surface grunge off. And the original stock finish will still be there. The color will still be there. All the markings will still be there. Just, if you do this and you want to preserve your rifle, this is the way you do the maintenance. So I can't really show you me doing this process because of YouTube's new rules, but basically what it's going to involve is I'm going to dab this onto this, and then I'm going to scrub it very gently, evenly, and just work it in. I have a friend who did this on the same gun, and he said the whole process only took him about 10 minutes. So when I meet you next, this will be done. As for this part, I'm still working on building the tank for this, but eventually what we're going to do is we're going to boil all the metal parts, all of them. Everything's going into a tank. It's going to be boiling in regular water for 45 minutes, pulled out, allowed to cool at room temperature, and then once again we're going to card it with steel wool. And basically what that's going to do is it's going to convert the sugar rust into magnetite. And by doing that, you get to preserve the bluing and restore the rust bluing across all the metal. So that will be part 3. But for now, we're going to attack the wood today, and when I meet you back, this will be done, and hopefully I'll be on this part next. Okay, so I left out a step. This is the stock after I have hit it with the denatured alcohol and the 4/0 steel wool. As you can tell, the finish is still there. You know what else is still there? These really strange, mysterious dark spots all over the stock. I have no idea what that is. One of my friends actually jokingly said maybe it's blood. I doubt it, but whatever. Anyway, I don't know if this will come through now, but there's the fat cartouche, 1948. See how clean that is? See how unblemished and undamaged it is? You can do this too if you do the maintenance properly. And there's the Carbineri markings, I believe. And this is the front hand, or the upper handguard. I cleaned the inside of the channel and kind of gave a little once over in the inside of this channel too. So the next step involves tongue oil. This stuff here is really good. I used it on my reloading bench too, if you remember my very first video, reloading in tight spaces. Basically what this is going to do is it's going to seal, protect, and lubricate the wood and give it kind of a mild sheen at the same time, but it'll also protect it from moisture. So what I'll do next is cut up some old tighty whities and just gingerly apply this on nice and even, let it sit, maybe put a second coat depending on how well the first coat goes on, do the handguard too, and now the next time you'll see me is when we start doing the boiling. Hopefully soon. So, welcome to my kitchen, and welcome to the boiling apparatus. So, if you are a fan of Sea and Arsenal, and you've seen Mark Novak and his friend Bob from rustblue.com, then you'll see that this is the basic setup to rust blue. So essentially what I'll do, or let me go over what it is. This is just a stainless steel 8-quart pot that I got at Walmart for about $7. This is what they call a 4x3 toilet flange flipped upside down. Got a couple of, I got 4 1/4 bolts with washers and wing nuts holding it down. And this pipe here is just, well, it's tight first of all. Give me just a sec. Okay, so this pipe just slips right over this flange, like so. And it fits relatively tight when you drop it down. Like, it's not coming off. And it's weighted right in the center of the lid, so it's not going anywhere. And then up here is just a 4-inch cap. Sorry, I'm holding this kind of with a gimbal. And then I just cut 2 grooves on the sides here. And keeping in tradition with Mark's video, this is just an old broom handle. So the way this works is you fill this up with water about 1/3 of the way up, and you start to boil it. You can put all your small parts, your mag well, your trigger, all the screws, they can just sit inside the pot. So those will boil immersed. The steam will go up through the pipe. There's a hole cut in the lid, obviously. The steam will come up the pipe, and it will, the energy of the steam, the extra oxygen, and the water vapor will attach itself to the barrel and begin converting your oxidized steel or iron into ferroferric oxide or magnetite. And basically all you do is you just take an old coat hanger, you wrap it on this pipe, you run it straight down the middle of the barrel, and then you just kind of tie it off underneath the breech, and you just hang it straight down. So in my case, this here is a 24-inch pipe, and the barrel for the Moschetto is only 27 inches. So it's only going to drop 1 inch into the pan, but this is a 12-inch pan, so I can do a barrel up to like 37 inches, I think. So that would work for that. But if you want a breakdown of the parts, I think this flange was only like $7. I'll post pictures of each individual part. I got them all at Home Depot. This was only, well, don't let me quote it. What I'll do is I'll show you a picture of each of these parts that I bought. Here, or this, and then this is just an 8-quart pan you can find at Walmart. And then, you know, just fasteners. So wing nuts, flat washers, 1/4 Tony screws. They fit perfectly through the holes. They actually thread through these holes. So they fit tight. I didn't even need the wing nuts, but I just did it as a precaution, because I figured once it starts boiling, it starts vibrating or whatever, you know, whatever, something can happen. So I went ahead and just tightened them all down. So that is the whole setup. The barrel will go in here, the small parts will go in here. This will be full up to about 1/3 with water, and then what we'll do is we'll just boil it for about 30 to 40 minutes, and then shut off the heat, and then just let it cool down, take everything out, and start carding. That'll be the next step. But I guess I'll show you while it's boiling. I'll do like a little quick snippet when it boils, which I may do tomorrow because I'm totally wiped out today. So this is just the next part. In the next phase, we'll start showing actually the boiling, and then I'll take them all out, show you what the horror show looks like, and then we'll talk about carding, and then that's actually it. And then we'll just do the reassembly, and that's basic conservation for my 9124. Okay, so Before I go into the hot tank, I wanted to show you all just the condition of what I've got here. Sorry about the lighting, but everything's got a very fine coat of like corrosion, sugar rust you might call it, especially down here on the barrel. Surprisingly enough, more of it is above the stock line than below. Below is actually in pretty good shape, but there's no major pitting at all. It's all on the surface. So a fellow YouTuber did a video on this actually the day I'm recording this segment, and he has a very different, I'll just say, approach to how to do this. But you know, that's why there's different YouTubers, right? So I'm going to do it the conservationist way, like Mark Novak does. And essentially all this is going to go into the hot tank. It's going to be in a pot of boiling water in my steam pipe that you saw earlier for about 30 to 45 minutes. And then what I'll do is I'll let all this cool down and we'll card it off. And then you get to see the end result. But I just wanted you all to see the before I do it. This is where the rear sight goes, by the way. 2 screws hold it in place, which are right there and right there, which I will take out before it goes in the tank. And then front band screw comes out. That one does not. That actually just snaps over with the spring. And the cleaning rod. And essentially all I'm doing is I'm going to suspend the cleaning rod and the barreled action onto that post wrapped with this baling wire just to suspend it over, and all the rest just goes into the water. And then this bolt does not blue, so I'm just gonna, while that's all boiling, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna hit this up with Mother's mag polish, clean it up as good as I can. That spring is for the trigger. That is not going in the water. I just don't want to take the risk of having the heat mess with the tempering or the spring rate, so that will not go in the water. I'll just clean it up by hand. But next you'll see all this boil. It'll just be a short little snippet just so you can see that it's working. And the next segment will be me taking it out, carding it, and you'll get to see this layout. I'll try to emulate this layout exactly the same for the after, so you can see that everything was in its original position. This is the back side of the butt plate, by the way. The front side's pretty clean, but I'll flip it over for the after. Anyway, off we go. Pardon the noise, but here we go. As you can see, rolling boil. 230. And everything seems to be working. Got a little bit of water seepage around the edge here, but I just keep mopping it with a sponge. I knew that was going to happen because that's a joint that just slips over the top. Those are stainless screws, so I'm not worried about those rusting. And then a little bit drips off of here, and a little bit off of here, but it's no big deal. I ended up filling this pot actually halfway, so I might have overdid it just slightly. But there you go. Next step will be pulling it out after I cool it off, probably in about 40 minutes, and we'll get to the carding. So this is the part where the men are separated from the boys, I think. This is the part where everyone starts to freak out. This is where everything that was rusted has been converted to ferric oxide, otherwise known as magnetite. It looks terrible now, but I'm allowing it to cool down to room temperature to get all the water out of it. Over here is the barreled action, which looks very mottled and spotty, but this will all card right off. There was no pitting. As far as I'm aware, there is no white that it went down to so far. So all this should just card right off nice and easy. I probably won't film that part, but just know that all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over the bathtub and I'm going to scrub it all down with 4/0 steel wool and get all the grain off, and that should do it. And then the final step will be final reassembly. All right, here we are after carding, and as you can see, I'm sorry I didn't get the order of the parts back correctly, but it's because I didn't have time to look back. As you can see, there's no more rust. How about that, right? Barrel turned out actually quite nice if you saw the mottled appearance earlier. Now it looks good, right? I've done everything but reassembly and bore snake the barrel, which I will do. Pretty happy with how this rear sight came out, actually. It was a rusty piece of crap. Now it's like beautiful again. See that? Nice and shiny. Nice and blue. Alright. Next scene will be this all put back together and my final thoughts. Alright, so there it is. All complete, all put back together. All shiny and nice, clean, functional, bore scrubbed, reassembled. It was a bit of a chore. As you can tell, I didn't overdo the stock cleaning. I just kept it, you know, Arsenal refinish type. Just a little bit of steel wool and some work. Had some help with a friend to put the bolt back together. Really happy with how well this this rear sight came back up, because it was a real rusty, you know, mess. But that all went back together nice. Everything went back together nice and easy. One thing I'd probably note is when you do the stock repair or the woodwork, the upper handguard tends to swell a little bit, and this barrel band was a real pain in the butt to get back on. It kind of scratched its way in just ever so slightly where it swole here, but it's all back in. Sling swivels are nice and easy to move. Butt plate screws are all clean. There's the butt plate all done up. Sorry. There you go. All in all, it's pretty nice. I guess my final thoughts are, would I do this again? Sure. I'm actually considering buying a 7.35 9138 carbine. So if you're interested in those, Royal Tiger has them on sale right now for $199, and they had 30 of them the last I checked. So if you want one, that's a pretty cheap thrill, if you ask me. As for me, I thoroughly enjoyed doing this. The process was tedious and pretty time consuming, but I actually recorded this over the span of 4 days, and I just wanted to make sure I got everything built and together and, you know, done correctly. And that's about it, really. Yeah, my phone likes to interrupt too, but if you like what you see, if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Sorry I couldn't show you the actual hand, you know, step-by-step hand, you know, by hand or whatever, but YouTube's rules are sort of like that. So yeah, if you like it, just like, share, subscribe. I'd like to thank actually Mark Novak from Anvil Gunsmithing from C & Arsenal. If it wasn't for his idea and his procedural how-tos, I wouldn't even have tried this, but I'll go ahead and, you know, give a shout out to him, and thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.